If you play hardcore Minecraft, you're not allowed to die or else you have to delete the world. Let's just say this is the world you spawn in. This is what your base looks like after 10 hours, 20 hours, and 30 hours. But what can you do in 100 hours? Stick around to find out. I'm just gonna make this very, very clear. We need wither skeleton skulls. 100 days in and I have not beaten the wither. This is why I cannot have nice things. I swear I've already visited a fortress before. This is authentic, I swear. I checked the chests and they were already looted. I don't know what happened. It's about time I took a break from farms. It's time to clear out a mountain. You know, this was kind of therapeutic. I can do this for the next 400 days and not have a problem with it. I also caged up the undead in some soil, just in case I wanted to come back for it at some point. I already made Mount Everest smaller, it's time to make the Mariana Trench bigger. I like my sand burnt, so I just threw it in the furnaces and forgot about it. Not quite, I needed some obsidian for no reason at all. You know, my shulker boxes of random items are starting to look pretty nice. I was burning over 1,000 iron golems an hour, so I guess it makes sense that one of them wanted to kill me. Then I just decided to take out my anger on every other mob in the world. I then realized I forgot one crucial ingredient. Cobwebs. Why do I need cobwebs for a wither skeleton farm? I also needed some turtle eggs. It's a good thing I can fly around the continent in half a second. It's time to find a good fortress to build this farm. My original fortress was not, because it was in the wrong biome. About halfway through my journey, I realized that I forgot the materials I needed to build the farm. I had plenty of time to reflect. I was about 4,000 blocks away from my base. I also ran out of gunpowder, so I had to tussle with the neighbors to get some. I then flew all the way back and burned. At least I know I'm welcome. This is the closest I've gotten to dying in a long time, but I have a totem of undying, I'll be fine. I finally arrived at the fortress and immediately knew I was at the right place. How are there so many monsters already? And how do all of them hate me already? I went east a few blocks and decided to build the fortress. There's no way I'm building it where I was. I thought I'd be placing more blocks than digging, but you can't have everything. Just kidding, the floor has to be more nether fortress, even though I wanted to tear down the entire old one. I guess the pigmen didn't like this, so they just decided they hate me. No kidding, we seemed like friends the first minute, and they wanted to tear my brains out the second. I was on fire most of the time, but it doesn't matter. My armor's built for this, and so is my body. I know it's not a pretty block or anything, but at least I don't have to tickle the femurs down here. Oh yes, an iron golem. It's like I wasn't killing thousands of your friends to make you. I can already tell he didn't trust me. I had to tie him up so that I can get him in there. And now I have to get to the bedrock roof, but I don't have any ender pearls. Forget the last 5 clips I showed you, I totally didn't commit murder. Now I really have to go up into the sky, why can't I just build it where I was? And now I'm up here now. What now? And now I gotta cover this thing in cooked sand, how inconsiderate. And then I built a long pathway in the sky, and then another nether portal. Finally, an achievement I've actually haven't gotten before. And then I had to go through the nether portal and do the whole process all over again. This time I made the walkway completely out of quartz blocks, cause I am literally made of money. And then I went through, and then I came back, and I was in a cave. While trying to make the fortress side of the portal larger, I got hit by Gandalf made of french fries. Okay, all I have to do is walk down here and the farm should start on its own. I have no idea why this is allowed, even in a single player world. I've never killed the wither before in this world, but I know when I do, I'm gonna kill 25 in a row. This is from 5 minutes of killing shrivel up skeletons. Oh yeah. I then did it for a few more minutes to get to a stack of skulls in my inventory. I then had to fly 2,000 blocks, but it was more than worth it. Believe it or not, this soul sand is for the withers I'm gonna be killing. I love how the shader pack makes literally everything look cinematic. But this time it matters. It looks like I found the stronghold for the first time in this totally man-made tunnel. It looks like I completely forgot where the stronghold was, so I went back to my other replays to find it. Even though this was the most powerful mob in the game, my brain was able to easily take him out. Did you just make a montage of you killing 25 withers? Yeah, there's no way. And there's 17 of the beacons. I don't have enough glass. I guess I'm just too poor. This farm produces a lot of iron, but it also produces a ton of poppies, which kinda makes me a little depressed. Maybe building another farm will take my mind off my problems. You know, I feel bad for the iron golems dying, but I'm doing this while more iron golems are dying, and this is everything I need for the mystery farm. Just like everything else I make, it has to be as far away from my base as possible for maximum retention. Yep, why not build it right in the middle of the ocean 3,000 blocks away from my base? And yes, this is a very simple gunpowder farm. This is going to become very obsolete very fast. I will say it looks pretty. I don't know if my eyes are telling that or my brain is. I need to sleep. And then I spent an entire day building snow golems. Like a normal person. This thing is gonna be completely circular. For no reason at all, except for vanity. I'm probably gonna catch sleep paralysis. I really need to sleep. Then I gotta cover this entire thing with trapdoors so that nothing else spawns. But it looks like phantoms are just as dumb as they look. This one tried to hit me through a trapdoor. Then I used a piston to push something into the snow golems to constrict them even farther. Then I gotta add another layer of fudge on top of the trapdoors. This might just be the nicest looking thing I've ever built. It looks like an ice cream sandwich. I celebrated by getting some sushi in the middle of the night because I have no stable food source. Now this might just actually be the closest I've ever gotten to dying. Why don't I have a totem? Despite that, I kept towering up. And it really paid off because that's a lot of gunpowder. I then healed up my tools in the Piglin Crusher.
Killed enough pigment to get to level 100 day 121.
Oh, and I also built this beacon. I told you my iron golems are hard at work. I didn't have a stable cobblestone farm yet, so I decided to set one up now. It even has a decent amount of redstone, because nothing I built has redstone. This thing is very efficient. It's like 20,000 an hour. I realized that none of my iron golems are dying. My life is a lie. I then took out my anger on someone unarmed and weaker than me. Just like any corrupt politician, I tried to ease my mind with some wheat farming. Out of the blue, I realized I had the materials for another farm. This is a sugarcane and bamboo farm. It's not going to give me a lot of materials unless I run it for 82 years. Later that day, I was able to cover the entire thing up with bricks and pretend it didn't exist. Like the undead. I'm getting a ton of iron. This double chest is pretty much filling up every 2 hours. And now for another farm. I want to build as many as I can before I get sick of it. I'm already getting disgusted by building farms, and that's a good thing. For some generic reason, I needed my hoe, and the game knew I didn't use it in a long time. Hope you had a good life. But I'm too rich now. We're also gonna say goodbye to this mountain because I can't see the village from my base. I then traded with my villagers. Shut up, game. I've already traded with a villager before. This time it's for a chicken farm. Now you know it's desperate. Breeding these morons was more of a hassle than I thought it was going to be. Just about everything in hardcore is. Oh yes, the almighty. Automatic food! At least I'm not a victim of global hunger anymore. We're gonna cut to a random frame of me digging out a massive area. Yes, this was grueling to set up, but I wanted to prove Minecraft worthy of its name. I had to make the ceiling quite tall. And that's just about it. I put an iron golem in the middle and forgot it ever existed. And yes, this is the AFK area. Not gonna be much help, but I still built it. As you can see, we almost have an entire double chest full of slime already. This time we need to collect some lava, commandeer some wood, steal some rocks, and finally, take some beehives. You know, don't try to copy this design. I was young and stupid back then, and I would love to say this was my own design, but it was somebody else's. From like 10 versions ago. I guess this is what I get for not reading the comments section. I then put together an automatic crop farm to ease my troubles. This thing is pretty tiny. If my computer was pocket size, I could have just done this on a trip to the bathroom. And with the stroke of my finger, I tore down another mountain. I cleared out so much of that mountain that it brought me over to the nether. And I didn't mind. Then I took down some more trees because oxygen is not a thing in Minecraft. You can already see how much thinner the atmosphere is. Looks like I found an ocean monument, and this is also another farm I'm gonna make. It also looks like guardians know how to give a jump scare. That, my friends, is how you're charged for a crime without a judge. It doesn't matter how powerful you are, just show no empathy for the wildlife. It surprises me a little bit that a single creeper was able to get closer to killing me than 3 Elder Guardians were able to. I said Elder Guardians. The normal Guardians did way more damage. And now we're building another portal right above the Guardians. This is ambitious. I would have to be too nice to terraform this place. These are temporary blocks. These are some weird tutorials, but none of them will let me down so far, so I still do them. Oh, now it makes sense. I'm gonna give the Guardians a pool party. Is that right? My pumpkin and melon farm wasn't working later that day. It looks like I spoke too soon about the tutorials working. I officially hate redstone, especially when I have to use it. After a little while, I just gave up and went back in my hole. Like, I was grabbing my scythe. And now the farm truly works. Why in the world am I still clearing out soul sand? There's nothing I could possibly use it for. Anyways, I made the collection system for the Guardian farm because lots of them are gonna die. I went back through the nether portal and it spawned me in a cave. How efficient. Alright, I'm giving the Guardians a bubble pool party. That's even better. Time to get rid of the temporary blocks. Looks like the Guardians did not want to join the pool party. Anyways, it's gonna stay open, and you guys are gonna die in the process, so I get what I want as well. Definitely got low a couple of times. I guess I shouldn't have a good time while playing hardcore Minecraft. I should play survival Minecraft if I want that. I then AFK'd on top of this obsidian at the world height limit. That's how much I trust these guys. Don't even ask how I already have the materials for another farm. And this time it is another farm. A lot less dangerous though. This is a hoglin farm. My chicken farm is just not fast enough. Then I had to place torches all over the platform. Of course, that's how hostile mobs spawn. I went to work placing torches down, because obviously, hostile mobs always spawn with lights on. Then I got trapped in the lava to make sure it burned. He's actually showing the process of gathering materials this time. It must be important. I also collected some more bright green orbs from the mutant factory. Yeah, one of my withers got loose and destroyed this entire platform, but I wasn't recording. Let's try to build a shulker farm. I have never built one before, and I want to build one. Remember shulkers? They're the living purple blocks of hell. I guess that's what I get for the joke. I gotta actually walk through it to get to the farm. And no, it's not gonna be in the end. I gotta bring them back to the overworld. The shulker spawned in the place where I didn't have any rails, so I panicked a little bit. They died, but at least I got a backup. Now I'm decking this entire thing out with slabs because I really want it to seem at home for the shulkers so that it'll go in the portal. It wasn't buying it, and I accidentally fell in. Judge me if you will, but I'm building it right by a really nice beach side. I fell in the lava to pay for my actions. Now it's time to yank this thing out of bed, just like me in the morning. Good things do not come easily, so I had to slap it with a bunch of potions for it to gain my trust. There's a lot of temporary blocks. You can tell this is all new to me. Okay, so the shulker got loose, and I started a raid. Today is just becoming a day. I tried to coax it back into its room, but it didn't yield. Instead of going back into its own room, the bodyguards took it out. If today wasn't a day before, it is now. Well, I'm gonna tear apart these rails and abandon this entire project. I went to one of my existing farms for advice, and I got none. I'm not letting this happen to my villagers. Get in the hole. I was also faced with a baby zombie later that night. I don't want to kill myself that badly yet. I guess I was running out of food, because I was also running out of sanity. I guess food is sanity in this world. Also seems illegal that my food just appears out of nowhere. I wish this happened in real life. Instead of trying to rebuild that shulker farm, I decided to go kill shulkers manually. I also got some extra elytras while I was out there. It's so much better than building a farm. I then bred my chickens so that it would become an actual farm. I then expanded my beef farm. It was gonna be manual, but it was better than a farm. And this is a clay farm. I never used it once. Doesn't deserve to be on my screen. It's time to kill more wither skeletons because I am out of bone meal. I also got an 8th degree burn when I came back. I guess I wasn't meant to survive almost 200 days. After that encounter, I realized that the end was not my home, so I took down the slabs. Also tried to close up the gap as much as I could because it's the only place I actually ever want to kill the wither. And this is rare footage of me actually using one of my farms instead of building them. Amazing that in this amount of time, I went from the Stone Age to the Industrial Revolution. And I'm not done yet. I also built a wither rose farm, and it doesn't work, but I still tried anyways. I'm pretty sure if I stuck a syringe in one of these guys, I'd pull out liquid fear. The wither killed almost all of them, but it wasn't automatic. I lost a lot of my pumpkins. It's almost creepy how peaceful it is now. And all my chickens got out. I'm not sure how, but they're dead now. The bees are too, but so are my lungs. These chickens are now gonna reproduce until they pop, which hopefully will never happen. I also got redstone manually because I don't have a redstone farm yet. I also got kelp because I guess I don't have that either. It's now time to build the best farm I've ever made in the game, and you'll see why in a minute. Is he building a flying machine? Yeah, you know that's right. Oh, it just forever drops TNT in one single spot. I guess that works too. Now I can just AFK here and get all the wood I would ever need without having to cut down more of the forest. I also got my gunpowder. I realized that this is not a very efficient way to get gunpowder. And this is also kind of a disgusting storage room. Come to think of it. Now it's time to gather plenty of sand, plenty of weeds, and plenty of the undead, and then plenty of shiny iron bars, and bones, and wood. Have you ever wondered what the perfect farm was? Today you are going to find out. This is a raid farm. The perfect raid farm. This is the only raid farm you should ever build. If you build a different kind of one, you are not human to me. This is gonna be a skyscraper of emeralds, totems, redstone, gunpowder. I am pretty high up in the air. I'm not sure if this is a good idea. The person who made this farm is a genius. He literally made it out of lava and water. Now for the storage system. You can see there's a lot of chests. Oh yeah. I realized that everything was one block too low, so I had to fix that on day 169. You can see we're getting really good with an elytra. I fly out the hole almost every time. You can see we're already using the lava and water method again. I'm not smart enough to build this on my own. Then we're gonna fill it up with water and call it a bubble elevator. This thing looks absolutely sick, and I cannot stop looking at it. And I cannot stop finishing it. Now I'm carving out a canal so I can actually get the villagers over to this thing. I'm not a canal genius, but I've never seen one this dry before. So yes, 200 blocks of mindless tunneling. It spit me right off next to the Burj Khalifa. Alright, test patient number 1. This is the second one. You can already see that this is kind of a disgusting way of getting him. Test patient number 3. It was really peaceful outside tonight. No monsters. Yeah, screw this, I'm gonna be done for the day. Getting these villagers in was a piece of cake. This is also the second totem I've ever taken in this world. I did not record the first one. Bye bye! I know I'm a corrupt, unsavable tyrant, but at least the villagers had a lot of things to say. It made me almost not want to kill him. And we dropped another one down here. I love how they just fit. I'm not sure why they don't make any sounds when they're falling, but they make a ton of sounds when they're not falling. This guy doesn't get to die. He gets to watch his friends. And this is the killing chamber. I'm telling you right now. This is a flawed killing chamber. Ooh, and now we're finally dealing with lava blocks. This is what we're talking about, people. I made sure there was nothing in the chests. For no reason at all, I then flew to the pillager outpost, and then got the Battlemoon effect super quickly. Oops, I accidentally started this raid at my main base. A little bit later, I finally was able to get Battlemoon and walk into my chamber. I cannot believe this is a real thing, and even 400 days later, when doing the voiceovers, I can still not believe this is a real thing. These guys were spilling out of the farm, and I was left in complete distraught confusion. With this, I did some enchanting to get a sword without fire aspect, and it worked pretty well because I had like 1,000,000 levels. As you can see, I completely ran out of levels, but I will never ever run out of iron, ever again. From this raid farm alone, I probably had more than 90% of my near misses in this entire world. Nothing's gonna stop me now. I only have 5 levels to my name. This is kind of embarrassing. Yeah, seems fair enough. That's my breaking point. I do have tons and tons of new totems now, though. A little unfortunate the chests aren't organized, but I'm glad I don't have to get these things manually anymore. So I peacefully set up the storage system, and then went back at it again. I only had to kill 1 pillager. There's no way this is Minecraft. Or at least hardcore Minecraft. At least I was able to stop the farm before my friends showed up. That's probably like 1,000 monsters. I've never seen so many. The back lawn is a little bit infested. How have I not seen this side of Minecraft before? And how did we get here? I went back to killing monsters the next day. We're almost at level 100, and I don't care how we get there. The farm broke a few times, but I was able to get about 10 levels before it did. I was starting to pile up a decent amount of emeralds from this farm. This is almost 4,000 emeralds. So finally, I tore down that iron beacon. Gross. I'm gonna make an entire beacon with all the effects, which is gonna take 6 beacons. This took a lot of emeralds, and a lot of iron. Dying at my base would be a horrible way to go, so I'm setting up 24 beacons so that that doesn't happen. I think the hardest part about setting up the beacons was letting them know my presence. I've now got 7 effects on my screen, and I don't regret a single one of them. Unfortunately, I have to dig these holes without the haste effect. Getting these beacons aligned wasn't much better. I really don't want to reminisce on it. I just want content. The next 4 hours of my recording was corrupted, so I had to record it all over again. I accidentally broke the boat where I get the Bad Omen effect, and it broke immediately. I guess I need another plan. I'm gonna have to go get Bad Omen again. I killed enough pillagers to get back to the 100 day 190. Around the same time, I learned an insane tactic. If you exit out of the game and then join back in, you have immunity for like 10 seconds. That saved me a lot of totems and got me a lot of emeralds. And this is what the game looks like without me exiting out of the game. I know it seems like cheating, but it's possible, so I do it. And then I built my third 6-chain beacon. It's completely green energy. And then it took almost all day to build the 4th beacon. I cannot believe there are still things to do. This clip right here might just be the most oblivious in all of Minecraft. And it's always nice to know my homies are always close by. I'm just glad they don't know how they look. Or sound. I finally got motivation to start working on another project. Their donations really helped. Yeah, I'm placing pistons here. It's gonna get real. And now I'm building a tunnel for the dispenser. I'm really starting to run out of farms to make. This is a flower farm. The deaf kids really like it! I also almost completely broke my tree farm. I really just wanted to organize my chest system, especially my gold farm. What is this? I mean, I know it's gold, it's just not the right kind of gold. It's not a sheep farm, it's a wool farm. I just don't want to have to kill any of my sheep to get wool. No animals were injured in the recording of this clip. The HOA is really getting on my case. There's too many ugly things on my base. It was just a hassle tracking down the sheep that I already died and the sheep that I already haven't. I also forgot to start recording, but this is me building an entire lava farm. At least this time it's not a completely useless farm. I actually need lava and I don't want to have to go to the nether. I also had to place some dripstone underneath. I'm glad you didn't have to see me collect that. The lava was not easy to get, and this time I actually recorded it. For some reason you can make a water source, but no one's ever heard of a lava source, so I had to fill every single one of these squares up to the brim with lava. I had to sacrifice an entire stack of iron blocks for buckets. I was completely unaware that lava buckets don't stack. Well, it's a nice flex. I can't have 24 beacons without filling the entire chest. I guess I was wrong when I thought a Minecraft farm just involved materials appearing out of nowhere. This time I made extra sure not to break the boat, but danger is my middle name. Never mind what I said. Bye-bye. You know, a good portion of my time was actually spent crafting the emeralds. This time I used F5 to see the bloodshed in action. I'm just glad none of the pillagers can swim, or else I would have died a long time ago. Emeralds were my most disposable block now. I can't believe how rich I am. This is probably one of the things you'd probably find at Fort Knox or Area 51. Not a normal storage room chest. I also mined some stone. I have no idea where I'm going with this, but I like it. What's also really weird is that my farm started up without permission. I also did some more exploring of my cave. I found a spawner I never have before. I've been through this cave like 50 times. Just kidding, I was so deep in my cave I had no idea how to get out, but I had the beacon effect, so that's a good sign. Man, this tree farm's just calling out to me. You know the farm's gonna be hard when I have chunk borders on. I love how I can see my gold farm from here. That's just the icing on the cake. Also, we passed day 200. All this redstone you see right here has a purpose, I swear. Let me just distract you by crafting like 500,000 flint and steel. Now we're gonna build these gigantic portals on the nether side. This is where the ghasts are gonna spawn. This took a long time, and now you gotta fill the inside of the portals with cobblestone. Surprisingly, this contraption is right above my pillager outpost, and it spawned me in the deep dark. I didn't want to spawn the warden, and I paid for it. And the mobs weren't making it easy. It's like putting salt on a wound. For some reason, this kept happening, so I filled the entire area. Now we're back at the slime farm. I did this specifically so that I know it's the slime farm and not something else. That's just how many farms I have. We're gonna be expanding it one floor. It's just not efficient enough. It's like 200 an hour. And a lot of water got in my way, or else I'd expand this thing sky high. Then I just AFK'd for a little while. I need the spawn. Well, at least I tried to make it kind of creative, right? And there was barely any slime in the chests, or just enough for what I needed. I'm making a falling block duplicator. I'm just glad this isn't the first illegal thing I've done in the game. And the lava farm was working perfectly, if you can even call it that. We're going down the tunnel to the end, whether you like it or not. Okay, so the sand duper has to be right underneath the end portal for some reason. Actually, I had to clear out the entire room. Now it's just a cave. And apparently the way you get rid of the end portals is by growing mushrooms into them. This is probably the most late game thing that could ever be done in Minecraft, but okay. After a little while, I gave up with that time lapse. It's too complicated. By no means that means I'm stopping, so I continued to build the farm into the next day. And this is the first time I've ever built a chunk loader. And then I went through the floating portal of doom, and then decided to work on the storage system. Yeah, there's like a stack of hoppers in the storage system. That's just how efficient this sand duplicator is. Hey, I want this world to be as pristine as possible. I don't want to mine up an entire desert. And as soon as I turned this thing on, it was like a muscle. It was like a lot. So then I dove into the portal to see what was happening. This wasn't patched. That's all the gravel I'll ever need. That's not all the falling blocks I'm ever gonna need though. I replaced it with sand and then dove back in for another 2 seconds. Looks like I forgot to turn off the microphone, but I was thinking the same thing I am now.
This is so nuts.
And my base is looking a little bit nuts now. It has like different wings, it's so large. My storage system's getting too small. Heavyweight problems come with heavyweight solutions. Okay, before I show you the entire thing, it's very, very large. You could tell I had massive plans. I was just strafing at the entrance for like 20 minutes. And you know I'm gonna be living at my tree farm for the next couple of days. And then I went mining, and then went back to building. There was a bunch of monsters right underneath my base, but they also had a ton of redstone, and I didn't want to grind at my raid farm. That's just too painful. This room was going to be like 20 by 300 or something like that, so I had to heal up my tools constantly. I also did the redstone wrong, so I had to redo it a couple of times. We're going to put a hopper system where all the items flow, because this is going to be completely automatic. It looks like the creeper didn't want me storing hundreds of thousands of its buddies in my storage system, so he blew it up. I know the storage system isn't that large yet, but I'm going to clear it off here just to see how it works. You could see that my shulker boxes are a mess. My chests are a mess. We need to fix this. I started by putting all my emeralds in the storage system, just because I wanted to flex. I also flexed by killing an iron golem, almost with my bare hands. I then built this contraption right next to my tree farm so that it would automatically supply me bone meal when I needed it. And you gotta know I loaded it up. I needed a lot of wood. And then I just went to grab a couple of snacks and watch a movie or something while I was doing this. Hey, I know you guys wanted interesting content, but I didn't want to do this manually. It would take like a year and a half. And finally, it is the next day. You don't even want to know how much I had, but I had a lot. I also gathered some redstone for my raid farm because I actually realized that it produces redstone. And then I literally doubled the size of my storage room. I didn't want a big cheese opportunity like this to go down the drain like I let happen for so many other ideas. And as you can see, I'm still expanding the storage system, but I'm not doing it correctly. I'm gonna have to tear it down. Oh, I guess we're rolling with it. Today was a very successful day. Every hopper I'm placing down is gonna sort exactly another kind of item. I realized that one of the hoppers wasn't working, so I tore the whole thing down. That's kind of unfortunate, but my shulker boxes are even more unfortunate, so I didn't let it bother me. I don't know why I'm doing this automatically. I could just chuck it in the storage system. It's just not very effective yet. The creepers did not like this, just like everything else I do. I guess that's how friendship works in this game, so I grinded trees for like 100 years. I also checked on my wool farm for the first time today. It's basically a bunch of colorful Santa waste. I also went back in the mines, found some diamonds, some boring, useless stuff like that. My storage system was getting kind of clogged, so I did the worst thing possible. I loaded it into the hoppers. I then went to the nether to fix something that was bothering me for a very long time. I finally put trapdoors on the iron farm. I then started mining a lot of the iron for my beacons to replace it with emeralds because I needed more iron. It's time we doubled the storage system again. This is getting serious. In fact, I actually cleared out the mountain so much that it actually reached the other side of the mountain. You know, a thick, wealthy man needs a thick, wealthy bank. And placing down the redstone wasn't that bad. I've pretty much got the hang of it by now. Empty space. Yeah, I'm renaming hundreds of seeds to put in my storage room. I wanted to put red mushrooms in my storage system, but I only had red mushroom blocks, so I did a thing. I then put all the items I couldn't sort at the back of my storage system, and I finally dismantled my original storage room. We will always remember you. I didn't quite cover it up with cobblestone. I wanted to make it into an automatic furnace room. Oh, and some more generic garbage sorting. This time I actually had enough materials to build something. I do a lot of suffering just off camera. I then wanted to organize my items without having to use item frames because I didn't have any leather. Oh yeah, 3 diamond blocks is less expensive than a single item frame? And then I just loaded the chests up with coal. And believe me, I did not use commands for this. This was my wither skeleton farm. I then got rid of that nasty dirt thing. The zombie despawn. I don't feel very good about this, but I built an entire carpet duper. I then repositioned my garbage chests all the way to the end so they can be automatically sorted as well. Oh yeah, this took a couple thousand weights off my shoulders. I then tried to make sure that my storage system for my carpet duper was completely filled up. I had no idea where to put them, and I had no idea what to do, so I cleared out an entire hill. I'm starting to run out of farms to build, so I flew to an obscure location to build one. Well, it's not a farm, it's more like a budget mob switch. The farm itself wasn't that bad, I just had to build a chunk loader. That means teleporting to the nether roof to make it work. This time the chunk loader worked perfectly on its first try. I then had to wait for all these silverfish to pack up into one location so that they would all merge. Apparently my iron farm was not having a good time. My villagers are doing too much work trying to save the village. I then fixed up my former storage room, and then I made this hole in the ground. I could smell it from a mile away. I then fixed up the area around my former storage room as well as I could. At one point I just decided to cover it with dirt because I didn't know how to save it. As you can see, I'm making my mine larger. My animal pen is in a bit of trouble too. My chicken farm worked flawlessly. My chickens in real life are killing each other, so this is revenge. I then tried to grow some spruce trees, and it worked just as well, to my surprise. I then wanted to expand that pathway I had on hour 10, all the way across. Since it was a level below sea level, I wanted to expand it up a little bit. Yeah, my standard's getting much higher. You can tell by these shulker boxes. I then stood like a king above the guardians while they were all killed before my eyes. It was quite satisfying. I barely had any materials from it. I don't know where they're all going. Also, I'm sad I did this, but I tore down the house. I wasn't recording. But at least now I can build another one. Well, it's more of a mine, but I'd rather a mine here than a house. I made it similar to the original because I wanted to pay tribute. This was kind of a wacky roof, though. I then wanted to make something else look nice, my villager breeder. This was really outdated and it was disgusting, and I think they needed a better place to live, even though they sucked anyways. I tried to remodel my entire carpet duper. It was a bit of a mess. I have nowhere to put these carpets. I think this would make better fuel than coal. I don't see any coal jamming up my chests in my storage room. I then changed out that
nasty oak thing
with some spruce wood and decided to add a roof on it. I also got rid of any imperfections. I want my base to look as unrealistic as possible. Personally, I am very proud of this roof design. While trying to install a light feature, some of the villagers got trapped. It's gonna take a lot of killing. Well, not killing, I'm just gonna remove their beds and make them seem like they're actually in a prison. My iron farm really seemed to like that choice. And then I grinded at the pigman farm for a little longer. It's never gonna get outdated. This farm's getting kind of old as well, but it's never gonna get outdated. I cannot get enough of it. Then I went back to my sand duper, because apparently 100,000 an hour is not enough. I wanted to run it while I fought the wither. I had no way to kill the wither, so I just jumped through the portal and killed the ghast out of pure unfiltered rage.
You're the reason my family doesn't like white things, you lactose intolerant son of a...
Very quickly I was able to get a bow, and then I was able to fight the wither. It was definitely one for the history books, especially since I won it, and I was able to talk about it. I tried adjusting the portal a little bit so that it wouldn't fly out, but it did anyways. Okay, I did some more adjustments, and this time I went back in complete fear. I'm kind of surprised this actually worked, but now I can actually kill withers. Now to go to the raid farm to do some adjustments. I'm just going to show you how long it actually takes to build a 6-tuple beacon. Now I can finally put the beacons on top. This will never not be satisfying, just like finding diamonds. Getting the raiders to listen to me was a little bit tougher tonight, as I almost blew the Battleman effect on my villager breeder. This time I'm just gonna sit back and see what's actually causing the raid farm to malfunction. I figured, why not take a shortcut through the nether? Well, look at that, I'm there. This is a lot of footage. I gotta skip through a lot of interesting things. And like usual, the farm completely snapped on me. This time I wanted to see what the problem was, so I used F5, but no pillagers spawned. Never mind, they did spawn, and they broke the farm. Whatever counts, counts. I killed enough villagers to get to level 150. This is really boss. I left there with a decent amount of levels, but I was still not satisfied. The farm wasn't fixed. I'm sure there were tips out there, but I just didn't feel like making it work. Somewhere in the range between 3 to 5,000 emeralds. I left there pretty satisfied. What are you doing? Why are you mining away the ceiling? And why are you replacing it with emeralds? Are you doing what I think you're doing? Yep, that's right. You're not hallucinating. I'm gonna make the entire storage system out of emerald blocks. I know it's a bit of a hindrance, but there's no way I'm stopping. I was able to dig out most of the storage system before I ran out of emeralds. Getting bad omen effect is never hard at this pillager outpost, even though it is very obscure. I went back to killing pillagers again. It's probably like day 250, but it was very worth it. Doesn't matter what day it is, it was very worth it. I mean, look at those emeralds. Nobody would look at that and say it was a bad day. Yeah, and that's about how many emeralds I got in like 10 minutes. Oh, that's an original entrance for you right there. Emeralds. I then spent like half an hour labeling everything in my storage room. That's just how big it is. I then wanted everything to be sorted into its own little place. Not nether quartz ore, just nether quartz. And you can see I'm clearing out a little area right here because there's actually an area for this little area right here. It's almost like my world was made to be broken. And you can see this is a gigantic hallway. Wonder what this could be. And he's placing emeralds. This guy's getting way too confident. Oh yeah, this is a villager trading hall. What a way to start. And now I need a ton of wheat because I need to breed my villagers. I just hope they can multiply with this roof above their heads. They did, and they did a good job at it too. This place isn't completely decked out in emeralds or villagers, but I can see the idea. I just never thought I'd have so many farms I'd have to surround one of them to make a villager courtyard. Saddest clip of the whole video. We need profits. It doesn't matter. And they're pixelated. They're not real. Then why bother doing them? We've already played in this world for like 50 hours. I completely ran out of emeralds, so I went back to slapping pillagers. This time the farm went about 30 minutes before breaking, and it really shows. That's a lot of emeralds. I actually had enough to deck it all the way out to the entrance. This is the first time you can actually see just how much sand my sand duper produces. There's no other way to get sand. I guess it's a good thing I have a massive entrance for my furnace room. It's kind of disgusting. With my lungs pumped full of cigarette smoke, I went back to cutting. This time it was to breed all the hens. I'm finally doing it. I'm finally gonna fix my raid farm. This thing has been very useful and everything, but I don't want to die to it, especially if I want to live in this world for almost 500 days. After that, I gave it a test and it worked flawlessly. I killed enough pillagers to get to level 200, day 270. I got almost 10,000 emeralds on this trip, and I'm starting to get a little spoiled. I had so many that I just mixed them in with the pathway because I didn't know what else to do with them. Okay, I'm gonna make this entire mountain out of emeralds. This will draw anybody in who sees my world in a heartbeat. I think it looks pretty nice. Needs more emeralds. I then showed my world without shaders. It looks disgusting, but my game is getting too laggy. I'm probably gonna have to live with it. I just wanted to max out all my villagers because... And just look how many emeralds I had left over after all that nonsense. With the emeralds shining brighter than ever, I decided to change up my storage system a bit. And now why are you digging in the nether? Yep, this is for another farm. It's about time I built another one. I built a villager trader. It's time for a piglin bartering farm. And another tower in the sky. That's how you know it's an ENX4 tutorial. And another tower in the sky in the nether. To be honest, it's kind of hard to see these signs. They're only a few pixels. And there's motion blur, so it's kind of annoying. I also need to shear pumpkins for something important. Oh look, I'm AFK for something important. Okay, I know it looks like hell on earth, but I let a bunch of piglins fall into my trap. Because of the things on their heads, they're not gonna despawn, and I don't need a whole bunch of name tags because they're expensive. You know, anyone who doesn't play Minecraft would find this terrifying, but I find this awe-inspiring. Oh boy, it looks like the zombies got into the rats again. I'm just throwing whatever I want in here. That's why I made this world. I'm also lighting up my caves because I know they're dark. I just need to light them up. I was too lazy before. There's just so many things to do. As you can see, I wasn't recording, but I got a zombie in here, so that's that. Then I became the communist emperor. I farmed a bunch of potatoes. Then I tested the rail system to make sure it worked. This is how I'm gonna kill villagers for my fun. And as you can see, I'm placing down a bunch of gold blocks. He's getting too rich, you should probably take him out. This is a gigantic map room, and I wanna really show off what I've done in this amount of time. Mapping this entire thing out took all night. It's not even finished, and I'm already falling in love with it. And finally, I was pretty much done. No, there's an entire other quadrant for me to do. And now it's just the top of the map that needs some work. We're gonna be killing more pillagers. And as you can tell, I was here for a very long time. After I got to level 215, I crafted some emeralds. I then got rid of that massive tree monster in my tree farm. Many trees died in the process. I then let it run. It came back almost immediately. I was using my auto clicker and I completely regretted it immediately. You could see I accidentally used a lot of rockets without my permission. You can see I'm flying somewhere to be free, day 283. I'm gonna make an ice pathway. This is one of the only reasons I'm still alive. And believe it or not, this is the only lag you're ever gonna see in the video without shaders. Enjoy it. I then healed up my tools with the pigment farm. It's not obsolete yet because it produces gold. I almost can't even believe I'm doing this, but I'm gonna set up another farm. And I left Discord running, which I almost immediately regretted.
What do you mean I skipped a checkpoint?
After that wild experience, I got a lot of bubble coral, and you need that for TNT dupers. I also realized that I was now Alex. I'm glad I didn't show it. And this is going to be on my base for everyone to see because it is amazing. You can already see it's tall, and there's a lot of pistons. Looking back on it, that's a weird looking hand. Let's just place some more pistons and never show our hands again. I accidentally built 2 hopper clocks without looking at the tutorial. And then my achievements reset again. I think this is the weirdest way to get the achievement ever. And then built this thing right in the center of the farm. It breaks a whole bunch, just warning you. And this is the TNT duper. Everything has to be perfect or else it's going to explode. Then I just ran around my farm, making sure every inch was stroked for perfection. This farm took a long time to build, not even to collect the materials. I'm that rich. But I'm not fast at building farms yet. And now I just let the lava flow in the center and everything will just be glowing. There was no torches underneath the farm, which is weird. I thought it wouldn't spawn monsters. I think this is the most of anything my farms have ever produced before. How I know? There's a lot of chests. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of chests. And let's see if it breaks my face or in my face. No, it works fine. This thing looks absolutely legendary from a distance. I wish I could run this thing constantly. And this is how much cobblestone it produced in like 5 minutes. I was so happy that I actually went to sleep. My mood's gonna change very fast. Don't worry. Why the heck is the whole thing broken? I didn't do anything to it. Was it you, zombie? Now I'm gonna spend the entire day trying to make it work. But as you can see, I was just about done by the end of the day. It definitely wasn't a good one. I just about had it done the next day, but this cobblestone needs to go. And this cooked sand needs to return. But it's not really cooked sand. It's just a descendant of cooked sand. And now it works just fine. I'll make sure to AFK on top of it next time. This isn't even Minecraft. Probably should expand my storage room. This is getting kind of gross. No, not like that. Don't expand it downwards. Expand it outwards. You serious? This is the first time I've gone to the nether. Game, you have a great memory. I will change this skin here in a minute, but I'm just, you know, too diligent. Time to mine away some of the obsidian pillars. Not the entire thing, just the fingertip. And I wasn't recording, but I built an entire copper farm. Yeah, there's no zombies in here. It drove me all around the stronghold, but I found none. Not even a single monster. It was only when I dug to the surface when I got my idea. I scrolled through one of my millions of replays, which I didn't use too many of in this video, and totally, legitly found a cave. And legitly got zombies. I didn't even have the right sword to make this farm work, so I decided to ease my troubles with more success. I'm not a pyromaniac, but this game kind of talked me into it. With that, cobblestone is now my new temporary block. This is what I'm going to use to build the ice highway. Yeah, this thing is very, very fast. I decided to do this in the nether because it was so effective. Oh, and the ghast did not like me, but I got this achievement for like the 10th time now. Because of the ghast destruction, now my temporary block is netherrack. To pay tributes. I think this is the fastest anyone's ever gone in Minecraft. This is like 200 blocks a second. And I'm gonna do this all the way to my end portal. I was on fire most of the time. For some reason, the ice was more durable than me. I carved this out for a very long time, but it has a really nice looking shape to it now. After that, I didn't even bother reminiscing. I just lit up the caves. And a lot more of the actual area around my base. And then the caves under my base. And then above my base. My ears was sweating the entire time, but I also got some flowers. And finally, now my ears really were sweating. I fell in the lava again. I never thought I'd say this, but the gold farm hurts my eyes even more without shaders. What's kind of depressing is that I completely lost the shulker box because I forgot that chunk loaders completely delete everything. After gathering all that sand, I went straight to a bastion. I gave up on that pretty fast because a single wither skeleton was able to take me out. I really just wanted to build a blaze farm. Just to say that I did. For some reason, torches did nothing to this blaze spawner. They kept spawning. Blazes suck. They're pretty much just like a bunch of exploding, fiery french fries that float. And they suck. Now, one of them is not possessed, so I shot them before they even got a chance to prove they were not innocent. I covered the entire thing in glass. That was brave. I just want to see them all die because they suck and they deserve to die. They were not nice to me in the early game. I'm not going to be nice to them in the late game. I also built another farm. I guess I'm on a roll here. I also built a permanent haste beacon right next to the farm. This is a basalt farm, but I guess I needed to adjust it. I cannot even believe this thing's working so fast. Wow. I also healed up all my tools. I'm glad I'm right next to it. Time to build an auto brewing stand area. I highly doubt it's gonna work. I then grinded at my tree farm because I wasn't done. I also grabbed some cacti. That was pretty much the entire desert. This looks like a pretty large farm. Are you trying to build a computer? This is a cactus farm. I have no use for it. I'm getting a little desensitized to things that look terrible. But this farm actually looks pretty nice. I also checked on honey stonks because I think I'm going to need it for something. I also went back to that bastion. It hasn't seen the last of me because I'm powerful. I then stole their entire gold supply. I then gave it to my piglins at my bartering farm. All 8,000 of them. I got like 1,000 materials in like no time at all. I guess that's why it's 800,000 an hour. And now I'm building another farm right by my base. You'd laugh at me if I told you what it was. Yeah, I'm placing some rails down. I think I'm going to have to tell you soon. This is a netherwort farm. It's not completely automatic, but it's efficient. Okay, things are getting real. You're building a sextuple beacon. This is also another embarrassing farm. This is a kelp farm. Yeah, this is a kelp farm. I'm building this entire thing down all the way to like Y40. Wow, I got it done really fast with that beacon. Anyways, now I'm covering this entire thing with temporary blocks. Thank you, Guardian Farm. You have been a really big help with this inspiration of the project. And now I'm gonna mine all of this away. How was life so easy? Yeah, I'm about to change my mind here in a minute. I didn't know I had to build a flying machine. I'm clearing out these areas on the end because I don't think the flying machine's gonna give me a lot of grace. I brought this thing all the way to the end and it broke, so I had to rebuild the entire thing. It looks very elegant while it's doing its work.
It's like we're at the bottom of like chugga-gugga-man-chugga-gug-chum on the good mug. I honestly cannot believe that I said like chugga-gugga-man-chugga-gug-chum on the good mug without stuttering.
When in doubt, get some clout. I can't think of anything else to rhyme. This is also another stupid farm. It's super small, but it's super stupid, and I never used it once. I guess it's not a good way to promote a coarse fruit farm, just don't build them. Do build a tree farm though. And ENX4 was a big help with this one as well. Oh, and that's when I'm going to show my day counter? Anyways, congrats on 300 days. I went out to the middle of an obscure location. Yes, I used chunk base. I really didn't want to have to clear out that much water, so I'm glad I'm doing it right here. I then cleared away all the temporary blocks. Yeah, this was all manually mined out. Then I realized I had to dig farther, so I flew back to base and grabbed a beacon. Unfortunately, this is where the squid are gonna fall and die. I gotta clean this up a bit. You know, I could have just used a minecart and hopper. I didn't have to make like 1,000 hoppers. I'm glad I did one smart thing while I was out here. I didn't bring any sponges. This is supposed to be like 6,000 an hour or something, even though I never used ink sacks in my life. And now I'm getting some raw copper. I don't know why I didn't do this 300 days ago, but that's just about everything I've done in this video so far. Ah, nothing like it. Literally anywhere with shaders. Yeah, I don't even know what farm I'm building here. I'm gonna need to find out for myself. Oh, he's in the middle of the ocean. He's building a drowned farm. And no, not just a drowned farm. I've already built that. I'm gonna build a trident farm. Now I gotta clear out this entire area because apparently the person brought sponges, and I didn't. It didn't work out very well, so I took out my anger on someone unarmed and weaker than me. It looks like an atomic waste chamber, and it barely worked. I can't complain long with these shaders on. I went to the nearest island, and apparently there was a lot of zombies waiting for me there. And it looks like these zombies don't want me to kill their relatives, or their deceased grandpas. Okay, the collection chamber. This can't be too bad, right? Oh yes, another 1,000 hoppers. At least this is a manual farm, so I can use looting. I already had 1,000 cacti in there. I pretty much did the Grinch smile just then. I'm glad I didn't show it. I then ran my kelp farm for the first time, and it worked flawlessly. I just don't want to have to fill up my chest, so I'm glad it's manual. I then designed a new and improved Wither Rose farm. Using chickens, of course. I just popped a bunch of useless things in there and called it a day. Or a life. I then upgraded my honey farm to make sure it was completely automatic. I didn't put too much love into this design because I was approaching a deadline. And that is 350 days. It's been good, but we're nowhere near done. Believe it or not, this is a potato and carrot farm. Completely automatic. And it's a good thing I had that ice highway so I could just boat the villagers right in. The Rizless people didn't even know. Oh, and this is all the stuff that I'm not showing on screen. I'm just suffering through on my own. Complete dark, with no viewers on my stream. Please follow my stream. Even the end is starting to look a little bit industrial. I'm going to tear down the obsidian pillars, just because that's the easiest way of getting obsidian. I then brought a beacon with me, because that's a casual thing for a normal person to do. You can see I open up my inventory for like a split second, and that's like 1,000 obsidian. I flew back home day 346. But I forgot my beacon. Oh, how silly of me. I'm that rich. This time I needed it for the ocean, because I'm going to build another farm. And no, it's not another drowned farm. It's another slime farm. And you can already tell this is going to be a thick one. This is what I needed every lava lake's worth of obsidian for ever. I'm cutting through a lot of footage here. This thing took forever to make. I got that AFK platform down day 350. I don't really feel like a hero anymore. This is like my 70th farm. At least I can use these campfires now, knowing that it doesn't just burn fish. I had all these extra materials, and I forgot shulker boxes, so this is the alternative. I feel bad for people back in the day. I then tore down the beacon. I'm pretty sure I lost like 1,000 emeralds in the process. I then built another farm on my base. Yeah, it looks done. Doesn't feel done. Doesn't smell done. But it's done. Yeah, this is a music disc farm and a monster head farm. I then maxed out my librarian because he will finally sell me mending. And now I'm mining away magma blocks again. This is very unconventional. I remember doing this forever ago. Okay, now what the frick am I doing? This is a glow squid farm. I gotta find other ways to entertain myself, right? At least now we can have glow item frames. It was a nice practice doing all this parkour around these temporary blocks. Oh yeah, water. That makes everything better, doesn't it? That's the key ingredient of Minecraft. I wanted to make its presence known in this world, so I used oak planks. What a sinful thing to do for someone as rich as me. You know, for 356 days, this base looks absolutely golden. Or, no, emerald. This is also a random clip of me crafting emerald blocks so that you guys won't leave. I then continued to mine down that entire obsidian pillar. This one is much larger than the last one. I also made and tore down an entire beacon in the process, but let's not talk about that. I then made an upgraded snow farm, because my other snow golem was murdered. Yeah, this is gonna be a really easy way to get snow. And adrenochrome. I can't believe I've played in this world for almost 400 days. I'm just getting clay. I then tore down the old shulker farm because I want to try my hand at making it again. Every block hurt, but industry is industry. I had to remove a lot of the white stuff from the ground. I don't want to have to mob-proof these portals, so I just made them gigantic. And then I spent like 1,000 years filling them in with glass. Good thing I have a farm about it. Ah, look at that. It was thunderstorming, but I don't have a trident. The elytra did me dirty on this one. I couldn't even maneuver. Ah, this seems familiar. I hope this farm does not end up the same way. I hope these chickens are starting to feel remorse for what they did. I just hope the shulker farm doesn't interfere with the iron farm. That's all I want. This is a very complicated farm. I skipped forward and backwards like 251 times. I finally enabled advanced tooltips. I can actually see the durability of my pickaxe go up. That's really cool. It's kind of funny how hectic my spawn actually looks in this world. I had to redo this killing chamber like 5 times. I guess I was on Taco Bell at the moment. This storage system's really on Taco Bell. What is this? This is also the first harvest of netherwort. I then built a staircase for the shulker to get up, just in case it ever decided to. But this doesn't make me regret my decision at all. I immediately lost motivation and decided to build a rail duper. The rail duper was completely off, but I didn't even notice until the whole thing was already done. Now I can finally connect up the rails because I completely forgot where my other shulker box of rails were. Now I'm back at the end. Completely new end city. Time to start fresh. I wouldn't say fresh. I was definitely not a fan of the railway system I was setting up. I had no idea where the end gateways were, so I had to fly through the open end. I forgot to power the freaking activator rail, and it looks like the shulker... I forgot to activate the activator rail, and the shulkers got free. And multiply. Oh no, it looks like the shulkers are gonna go back. There we go. And now I can finally tear apart that staircase because it was never useful in the first place. The minecarts did most of the work. Okay, I have some important business to attend to. Not killing asses. I just reached day 365, so I want to place down 365 roses to celebrate. It's nothing much. It probably will never be something much, but it's definitely something pretty to look at. And then my furnaces actually ran out of fuel, so I loaded them up with more carpets. How interesting. Also, one of my villagers from my farm died, so I needed an idiot to take his place. Now it's time to run my kelp farm again, conveniently located at Lake Chagagaman-Chagaga-Chabadagagabug. This is the most legal kind of genocide you can do, especially since that one harvest got me almost 3,000 kelp that I will never use. Just admire. While checking my shulker farm for the first time, I got trapped inside the shulkers. I wasn't in that much danger, but I thought I just lost the world because there was no way to kill all of them. I just decided to turn off the shulker farm. I was a little bit disappointed. I guess I'm gonna have to go through my iron farm if I ever want this farm to work. Later that day, I set up a contraption. I don't have any strings, so you'll see what I do. This might just be one of the most satisfying things I've ever seen happen in Minecraft. Oh man, I was so excited I didn't even bother falling in the iron golem pan. I don't know why there's a bunch of shulker shells in the ground. They're pretty much just a big bunch of blocky doofuses anyways. Somehow I went through with the levitation effect and I got an achievement. I then ran the tree farm because tree farm's my life. I know that's gonna be like 2,000 years in the future, but this iron is really working me towards that goal much faster. And yes, this isn't a mega base, this is one final farm. I'm tired of farms. Getting the rails up and running was a little bit tough, just because they didn't want to work with me. I guess I've killed too many people. I then just built a big clear wall all around them to show them just how hopeless the situation is. Spawned another portal there, and I spawned in a lush cave biome. I do not like it, but I love it. You can see I'm having no fun, day 371. I wanted to go to a random location so that I could find some amphibians. I mean, I got some frogs, but I don't want to lug them back and then breed them. I want to breed them and then lug them back. After I got the frog spawn, I swam around in it for a little bit, and then I collected the tadpoles. I'm with the CIA. I'm gonna lug you back to my base, and I'm gonna do interesting things with you until you give me your secrets. I then turned on my cobblestone farm. I have unfinished business. Or at least it's going to be unfinished as soon as I'm done with it. Okay, 500 blocks away from my main base. I think this is a great place to start placing cobblestone. I'm really going to regret this. And you're going to like it. I'm actually carving an outline out for the largest wall in Minecraft. It's 1,000 by 1,000 by 100. There was a lot of twigs in the way. And I don't have the beacon effects. You can see the wall's already coming along really nicely. I've already gone through like 3 or 4 biomes. And yes, this is literally just the outline. And I don't know why I made it curved here. That's just gonna make things harder in the future. Well, that was very short-lived. We're back in a forest. I hope you don't have claustrophobia. I'm pretty much decapitating every other tree that I walk through. And now we're back in a plains biome, but it isn't much nicer. You know, I should probably go home. I have a bad feeling about this. Oh, I see why. Okay, I'm going to sleep. Netherite armor only protects the privileged. The game was speaking to me, loud and clear. And you can see after many days of placing cobblestone, we're done with the first layer. And you can see what I'm doing here is what I'm going to be doing for the next, 30 days. I know you're not a fan, but I'll make you a fan, because I'm a fan of this project. But I won't be either. This is a pretty big base. It kind of makes me wish I could come home, just like a dad who went for milk. This isn't even close to done. That's about 100 blocks away from the border. And the trees aren't giving me a good time either. I was going from amputating their limbs to decapitating them. Building the wall never got easier, mainly just because I had to kill more wildlife. Oh yeah, still working on it the day after. No sleep, no game. You see all this land right here? This is all inside the wall. Construction was a little bit slow because the wall would slap me off and I'd have to climb back on. And we got to this gigantic mountain section that went all the way to Y150. I'm gonna get very familiar with these here in a minute. And just look how fast I blow through 1 stack of cobblestone. I'm pretty much just pulling one big act of incarceration of myself, but it's too late to stop, so I kept going. Looking back on it, I'm not sure why I stopped in the middle of the pathway. It's like I was marinating that special cobblestone. And believe it or not, this high up, I'm still running into trees. My auto clicker is stripping the wood completely automatically. These diagonal areas are starting to look like art. Who said just music was art? Okay, I'm getting a little bit bored. I actually want to see what a finished part of the wall would actually look like. I was planning to make the wall wider, but I kind of decided against it. That's way in the future. And then I went back to placing cobblestone endlessly. I even put walls underneath the water. I'm gonna make this as secure as Guantanamo Bay. It's a good thing most of the wall was straight, but I'm gonna get a little bit sweaty putting down the not so straight areas. I also had a ton of shulker boxes with a bunch of random crud that I literally got from just clearing out the area where the wall was gonna go. After a little while, I gave up on the wall. I ran out of materials and forgot about it, but giving up sounds cooler. And I love how you can see the wall from so far away now. King Arthur III. That just gives you a sense of how tall it is. I then collected some more rocks. It's a very cracked way of doing it. It's about day 400, and I'm still working on the wall. Where is my life? I'm really starting to run out of things to say. There's not a lot of commentary you can do when you're just building a wall and getting knocked off all day and night. I then tried to do the wall backwards, but this is just because it's a test. Yeah, forget the holes are there. This is what the wall would look like if it was finished. I then wanted to make my storage system a little prettier. I spent a very long time doing this. I'm gonna pay for my mistake as soon as I make it. I didn't even know what to do, so I just sat and stared at the emeralds for a couple of minutes. It was definitely not pretty. My designs are flawed, and flaws are flawed. It was not pretty, it was loud. Let's go back to wall building. I'm just glad I have a good raid farm. It takes actually a bit of rockets to fly out to the wall. I then ran my string duper. I'm kind of losing faith in humanity for not patching this. I'm still glad they didn't patch it. I wanted to get emeralds. I wanted to break the silence. I then killed a ton of pillagers, way more than it usually takes to get Bad Omen, because my farm keeps breaking, and I love it. Okay, let's see how many levels we can get. I got to level 225 relatively quickly. A couple of minutes later, I have no idea how many minutes later, I got to level 235. I should probably expand my garbage chest. Look at all this amazing loot. I don't even want to tell you how many emeralds I got from this trip. It seems almost confidential. Okay, this is where the fun really begins. I need more cobblestone because I wasn't done with the freaking wall. Hurry up, Pusshead. I wanted to see just how tall I could make this thing in the next 10 days, and then I'll be done. In the end, I just ended up evening the entire wall and going all the way to Y100. Yeah, still working on the wall the entire next day and night. But it's not looking like a toy anymore. It's actually looking like a fortress. And just understand, I was carrying this much cobblestone with me, and and I was running out every 10 minutes. I had a lot of emeralds, so I wanted to expand the mountain to hour 80. I did this well into the night. I have a lot of green stuff. This is a pretty big mountain, but there's no way I'm stopping. Even though I ran out of emeralds and I had to grind for some more, day 405. I kinda tinkered with the farm a little bit. I threw a lot of my stuff out into the ocean, and I'm pretty sure that broke the farm. I cannot get enough of this cobblestone farm. There's no way I'm expanding it. It's so efficient. I had nothing to do because I just found out my raid farm broke, so I just kinda threw materials on the ground and hoped for the best. I kept making the wall backwards. I don't know what is going on, or if my editing software is a little bit glitched. And yes, I kept building it. High up into the sky. I'd love to say I'm done. I'm good enough at editing, but I'm not good enough at lying. I'm almost certain there should be a different word for this, but I'm getting double deja vu. These phantoms keep knocking me off the wall. It's gonna be lethal here in a minute, even though I have feather falling. This cobblestone's literally not fast enough, even though it produces like 200,000 an hour. Well, fair enough, but I've already placed about 500,000 cobblestone. Not by hand, but with an auto clicker. Hey, it doesn't matter how I do it. It just matters that I did it. Please don't cancel me. And to my credit, most of this part of the wall was manual. It was surrounded by water. I mean, this is surrounded by water too, but it's not curved as frick. I'm starting to lose faith seeing the wall in the exact same condition it was 20 days ago. So then I kept building it. No breaks included. Yeah, they're sold separately. And all of this 500,000 cobblestone as well. I'm gonna have to start eating Duracell batteries to keep my energy level up. And then we're finally at the area where my old raid farm was. I've officially disabled it. You're probably wondering where 100 days of my life went. And it was looking at this wall and getting wet through it all. No shaders, no nothing. Living in squalor, I continued. It's almost like my inventory is getting smaller. This cobblestone's nothing. I lost a lot of common sense while building this wall, but I also got a lot of satisfaction from it. And a lot of the monsters trying to kill me did too, but they were all murdered in the end, so it doesn't count. If hippopotamonstrosesquipedaliaphobia is the fear of long words, this is the fear of long walls. And for some reason I left my cobblestone farm running, and it broke itself. Off beep. I just sat in the nether. I didn't even know where to go because I had so many farms. Well, I had 2 slime farms. I was pretty sure I was going to find one of them at some point. And then I spent the night AFKing and messing with my settings because I don't want you guys to see this. And then I built the entire system again for like the 3rd time. And it's just outside my beacon coverage, so I have to remove all of the stone without a beacon. But yes, it works again. And I'm getting tired of crossing my fingers with this thing. I had lots of moss carpets, and I had lots of lights. Why not make some nice lighting? It was slightly counterintuitive because I would have to light that area up anyways. Flying around my base looks impressive without shaders now. And you can see there's a mangrove tree. I'm gonna build something. I grew several mangrove trees and then cut them down manually because it doesn't work with my tree farm. And these aren't called saplings either. They're called propagulate. And you see these things on the side? They're called roots, and they're my arch nemesis. I usually just towered up with the roots to get the actual wood, which there would only be about 2 or 3 in the entire tree. I love this. And now we're loading back up on cobblestone, because we can never have enough. Especially since I sat at my farm for all of day 418. I was probably munching on some lemon meringue pie this time. I'm nowhere near done, but at least I'm done with half the wall. And yes, another half the wall. I'm pretty much going 20 minutes at a time, so I'm trying to come up with commentary. Even more while building on day 420. No, I'm not a drug dealer. I just love the day. The tadpoles have finally grown up into actual frogs. Very, very big, sweaty, hairy frogs. I then tried out my carpet duper with my moss carpet. Surprisingly, it didn't work. Then I grinded on my tree farm. It's looking premium less and less every single time. And then I carved out a pretty large area in the side of a cave so that I would test something. What I pretty much just did was carve moss, and then I would make the hole deeper and repeat. It was very unconventional, so I just did this in the actual caves. I actually got a ton of copper from this. I wish you were able to make copper golems so that they could kill copper monsters. I then continued my grind with mangrove wood. I would say this is the only time where it was actually a grind. Most of it was just hidden behind leaves, and it looked like steak. That's what I love about mangrove wood. This wall is really starting to look sort of like the far lands at this point. I needed dark oak wood, and you can actually see my wall from where I was getting it, so that's cool. I needed a lot of deep slate for what I was going to need. I really wish you could insta-mine deep slate, just like you can for stone. And then I tried out my farm with birchwood. And my netherwort farm worked too, but it looks like a bunch of bloody mushrooms, so I didn't say anything. I then had some business to attend to with my wither skeleton farm day 427. For some reason the farm wasn't working, so I tried to troubleshoot it. That didn't work, so I troubleshooted it. This is a beautiful area. I really want to build something here one day, but it's like 10,000 blocks away. Believe it or not, I was actually attacked by a wither skeleton. Then I was pretty sure it was gonna work. I'm done with that. I'm going back to mining deep slate. Okay, I'm turning it into bricks now. He might actually be doing something cool. And now he's getting wheat and a life, and I'm gonna be harvesting my crops, just like old times. For
Probably the last time. I also got enough melons to last me an entire real-life day. I also got a lot of chocolate bark. I went back to troubleshooting the wither skeleton farm and I thought this was the problem. But no, I went back to base. I also popped a totem on the way back. It was not supportive. And then I tried working on the farm again. There was no more monsters. I keep giving it chances, but these iron golems really need to die. Not all is lost. Usually it is. I wasn't recording, but the shulker farm was the problem. So now the farm works. Surprisingly enough, this was a better blaze farm than my blaze farm. I wasn't even down here for wither skeleton skulls. I was down here for bones. And now I can finally get wheat. That was about the hardest way I could have tried. I'm also surprised these guys aren't dying from entity cramming. Or the smell. They're pretty much tasting each other. I love how I can fly down the shaft and get whatever I need. I put all my farm animals into a single hole because you know what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm getting rid of the farm. It's a very, very sad day indeed. Listen, it served me well and everything, but it is a little bit ugly, especially for someone who's been in the game almost 500 days now. And that is the last trace of the farm you will ever see. But I'll be back. Then I went to the gold farm. It really didn't cure my depression. I killed enough pigmen to get to level 250, day 439. Yes, I forgot to record, but I'm building a gigantic barn. This is what I needed all the mangrove wood for, but I didn't have any patience. I shot through the hole, it didn't work! Why? I had like 3 shulker boxes full of materials. Now I have to make it look a little bit more aesthetic-y. How did Deep Slate bricks look so freaking slick? Now I'm building a gigantic barn door. I know it doesn't look like it. And I spent a lot of my time on stream showing off my world. And I was actually getting comments.
Forest fruit farm, lots more farms everywhere.
I then checked on my villagers. They're enjoying retirement. The clips are a bit unorganized, but it doesn't matter because it still happened. You can tell I have big plans for the barn you've already seen.
There's no good place to put the silo. Where the frick do I put the silo? I want it to go right on the edge without going over the edge.
Yeah, I explained it just fine. And this is me placing the mangrove wood you saw in the last couple clips. We're back to where we were before, working on the roof. I was so excited that I just walked around the entire thing with a glass pane to intimidate it. I also built tons of windows. You'll notice that it doesn't have a roof anymore. Just ignore that.
Boom! Magic!
But now this time it is in order, and I'm actually building a gigantic pathway. I even built a gigantic crane full of hay right near city center. I was doing lots of decoration to the outside. I love it. You should love it too, because I love it. I also began working on a gigantic silo, because I had a bunch of extra wood, and the tutorial said so. I'm very proud of the roof. Not of myself, and it's always fun breaking that scaffolding, and now we're building different layers to the silo. Insane, I know. Then I dragged all my animals into the coops by hanging them. There's also a bunch of mangrove tree corpses all over the compound. After I attended to business, I attended to more business. And then I started decorating the silo. This time I did it by myself, so I'm actually proud. The first floor is pumpkins, the second is melons. Yes, it is going to take a while, but I was able to fill a room with crafting tables. The room at the top has barely any hay, because I didn't have any. Thank goodness it was half the size. My Rainbow Santa upchuck chest is pretty much full. We need to make another one. I guess we need to get the animals back where they belong. I know I already did this, but the clips are kind of out of order at the end. Actually, I just lost a bunch of animals. I don't want to bother confusing you guys anymore. I also got some more sheep, because apparently the other ones died. Thank you, chickens. You are now relieved of your duties. I farmed at the tree farm now, as barren as it could possibly be. Day and night and day. You can see there's a lot of wood in my inventory. I never actually show how much I get. I went back into the caves, turned it into a terrarium, and then mined it all away. And now it's a barren cave again, just slightly larger. Just like one of my other videos, I got mending. I don't care anymore because I've already put mending on everything. Then I tried to see if I could get azalea leaves from my farm, but it didn't work. I was gonna need to mine them with my silk touch axe. This is beyond illegal. And the defendant is beyond guilty. I was really just growing a bunch of azalea so that I could get some rooted dirt. I'm telling you, I'm not going to be building with these things very much. Building a farm for him is just completely useless. I then had to tear down the new Africa shelter that I made. It's on my base, so it's gotta go. I can't even believe how easy this farm is to start. I'm just dawdling to make it seem harder. Imagine how many things I could build with these chocolate bars. For some reason, I started buying bookshelves just to level up my villager. Speaking of emeralds, I went back to the Monolith of Pain day 446. This time I went fine. I just AFK'd, but I was at the screen. Well, not entirely. I walked outside the machine and just collected the XP because apparently killing villagers is not enough. Or I guess it's too much. I don't understand the psychology of what I did in the last couple days. I just knew I wouldn't die, so I did it. For some reason, I put out the fire that was burning all the items, so this is what you're gonna have to see. This thing is getting pretty big, but the green is starting to burn my eyes, just like the magma blocks. My eyes are getting very, very sensitive. I didn't have enough emeralds to cover the entire mountain, but I can get more later. Okay, never mind. I had a lot of emeralds, but still not enough to cover the entire mountain. I went back to start another raid, and it didn't work. for no reason at all. Okay, I'm gonna go get Bad Omen and see what happens. And the machine still did not work. It started to raid, but then it stopped. I literally just sat by my cobblestone generator and mined dirt with my hand. That's how bored I was, even though I could do a million things. I even checked my honey farm, and it was complete garbage. This cobblestone farm was so powerful, cobblestone was getting stuck at the ends because all the hoppers were already filled up. Okay, I have some unfinished business to attend to. Lots of it, but I'm going to start with one step at a time. I randomly went back to constructing the wall, day 451. It was a pretty eventful day. I placed like 20,000 cobblestone, and then I collected every material from all of my farms that were just running in the background.
You know, I don't know how all these swords got here. I guess I'm losing my hearing. I think it's time to leave.
I also fixed my storage for the final time. I never want to do this again. I then went to the pillager outpost because I really don't want to build a wall right now. I made sure not to throw out too many items, and I also put the fire back, which was pretty cool. I'm really not sure where all my days went, but now it's day 456. Well, during all that time I fixed the farm. That's just about all that happened. It's the least exciting footage you could have missed. I'm gonna try to get to level 300. Okay, it's level 280. I know my levels are the only commentary because that's the only thing that's changing. Okay, Vex actually spawned at some points, but they didn't do any damage, so I literally just kept the farm running. I'm pretty sure it was thorns or just the pillagers gave up on living. I made it to level 295, hour 95. It's been a good journey, but now I'm done. I got to level 300, day 459. I couldn't even store the amount of items that I got. I probably should have upgraded the system in a different way. Emerald Mountain construction resumed on day 461. This time I had almost enough emeralds, but then I ran out of disk space and took a break for a week. I was able to ice it out all the way to the back of the mountain. I then realized my statistics reset again. Bullshbeep, now I won't be accepted into Guinness. Looks like I'm done with the mountain for now. The side you can't see is the side I haven't done. I'm gonna clear out this entire plateau on top of this mountain. It's 100% your business. You've watched this video for almost an hour and a half. I'm building a mansion. I guess it's obvious now that I'm placing cobblestone, but I would hate to not have a house on day 500. You know, I still did all the work, but I was feeling pretty uninspired. YouTube did some of it. It's just a creative way of saying that I used a tutorial. The creepers knew what I was up to and immediately knew what to do. I'm starting to develop a sense of nationalism looking at this country of a base. Or at least for 463 days. I went back to smashing trees because they did nothing, and I'm done with the first story. And yes, I'm gonna place these leaves on the side. That's how you know it's a tutorial. I would have just used leaves. And now I'm making these rounded windows. What a genius idea that I didn't come up with. Even though it's slightly unoriginal, it's still fun to build. I went back to whacking the wildlife. That's pretty much what I've been doing for 469 days. As you can see when I'm done with this third story, you can actually see the wall and my base. What a rare occurrence. And you can see I'm being attacked by a baby zombie in the daytime. I've been using the elytra for like half a decade, and I never knew it could actually make jumps like this. And finally, this is the roof. I would hate for it to be struck by lightning, because it would burn down all the way to the ground. It's fully made of wood. It's also parked right on the edge of a cliff. If I built something here, it would be just fleshy. And now for the actual roof of the house. This thing's like 4 stories. Well, in Minecraft terms, it's like 30 cubits high and like 100 cubits long. And now I'm placing trapdoors for the roof. How much more luxurious can luxury get? I know it's made out of wood and cobblestone, but it's just art. None of the rooms are lit up. I don't have time to deck it out, so I'm gonna hate leaving it like this. I went back to killing monsters, and this time for more emeralds. I've barely even gained 10 levels, and I got a ton of moss gems. I got to level 325, day 469. And this is all the gunpowder I got from literally just that session of killing. I got roughly 14,400 emeralds in my inventory. And in a single day, I got 15,321 emeralds. I'm also clearing out another mountain, but this time for flexing. You can see that I'm making a circle. Yes. Out of emeralds? Yes. And I'm gonna make it very, very tall. I don't have anything tall on my base, so it doesn't really look too premium. So I'm gonna build something tall. The circle was completely wrong, so I had to tear the whole thing down. You can see I'm dead serious about this. But I am alive. You can see the mansion and the tower both stick out like sore thumbs. I went back to Operation Slice and Dice, and I got triple 3s. I guess that's my lucky number, because I've successfully built this tower all the way to Y150. I'm gonna make it shorter towards the top, because I actually want it to look like a tower, and I don't want to spend 500 days grinding. You can see I'm getting real confident. I'm doing F5, and I have my elytra on. I got to nivel 350, but I don't think it should be much of a surprise, because I'm a boss. This is the power of being the quiet kid in the back of the classroom. This thing is gigantic. I just passed Y200, and it shows. Well, not quite, but some of it touches 200, and I'm going all the way to 319. Later that day, I pretty much did a full 360 without having to turn my head. Look at all the lights on my base. It looks like a tetanus infection. I also got to level 365. It was fitting, because I've already played for a year. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is the height limits. I guess it's fitting that it's thunderstorming. It's gonna strike me if it ever does. It's hard to see with all that rain, but it's the most beautiful thing I've ever made. There you go, some cinematic audacity for once. Okay, now that I've achieved my life goals, it's time to head to the outskirts. I'm an outsider to my own base, but not for much longer. This will be my base. I had a lot of cobblestone, but I'll never have enough. This is actually the first structure I came back to my base to admire, because I almost threw a totem without permission. Well, I could get 100 million at any second if I wanted to, but I don't want to be a direct copy of SB737. These corners are very jarring, but it's the only angle I'll ever have to turn at. And yes, I'm building this side all the way up to Y100 as well, to make it even with the other side. I'm going to turn the middle of the top of the wall into something someday. Maybe a roller coaster? Maybe an ice boat? It's amazing that my wall goes far enough out to see turtles. It's bare bone dry there. I really should sleep, but I want to make it to day 500. I know the video says 100 hours, but I'd love to include day 500 in the thumbnail. Okay, there's too many phantoms. I'm gonna hit the wall. And now we're going over water. Not in the water, but it's just as exhausting. How hard can it possibly be to go in a straight line? Well, not easy if you're going like 10,000 blocks. Also, a thunderstorm happened. I killed all the skeletons, and I got all the horses. And I named all the horses Rodney, because I didn't know if they despawn or not. I was also streaming for the last couple days, but the kids at my school let me know just how moronic that was. And my brother got a hold of the microphone, so enjoy his reaction.
That is gonna be very angry.
Well, that was bizarre. I hope I don't lose all my rockets in a single click.
No!
I'm sorry about that, but I wanted to see your reaction, even though I can't. My teachers are probably going to be wondering why I'm just laughing for no reason, and this is why. I was trying to work my way around this river. Why didn't I just go right through it? This place was absolutely stacked, but at least I had spectators.
Oh, you have a little barn? That's so cute.
And then the stream ended, and I almost blew up my cobblestone farm again. Now you can actually tell I'm streaming, because there's chat messages. And then I turned shaders back on for the first time in like 300 days, and I was not disappointed.
That looks so cool!
And I continued to stream. This time I had nobody watching. How you can tell, I'm building the wall. It's nice to know that I had a friend to talk to while I was building the wall. She's actually the same person who drew the portrait at the end. Marvel in its beauty. I don't want you to forget it. I was also working on the wall through the day. The deadline's getting close.
You record a video, and I do that, I just go...
If you'll believe me, it's day 495. I have almost nothing to show for it because my statistics keep resetting. And this is where the actual outline of the wall ended, because I didn't bother finishing the rest. So believe it or not, the wall is like about 90% done, and I'm still clearing out trees. I was pretty much forced to make curved outlines because the rest of the wall was pretty curved. I was doing this in a frenzied panic, because I didn't think I was going to be able to finish the wall in time.
100,000 cobblestone more! Please!
And I hate it when I have to cut down an entire tree. A worthy sacrifice. Day 497, I wasn't even close to done. You'll see as these 3 days went by, I got more and more stirred up. Dopamine was running through my brain now. I was getting rid of phantom membranes for no reason at all, and my cobblestone farm was chugging. And now we're making the final outline of the wall on day 498. Unfortunately, this is the most curved part of the wall, and it did not give me a good time. I'm actually going to show multiple clips of this, because this is the last layer of the wall you will ever have to see.
How is there so much wall footage? How trashy is my content?
You'll see after a little while I didn't even bother curving the outline. I didn't have enough time. The last 5 cobblestone. It's day 500, and the wall is complete. I think I've done a lot in 500 days. You can see by the statistics. If you actually made it all the way through the video, thank you very much. I applaud your choice. Now that's an hour and a half you'll never get back. Consider subscribing. This video took a very long time to make, but only if you want to. And again, thank you for watching. I'll see you in 1,000 days.